Chapter 201 The Trash's End. Those who understood the situation knew that if Lord Grimm was level 27, they wouldn't waste their time on him, let alone his little underling. Level 27, Blade Master. After a few players confirmed the situation, the torrent of anger immediately dissipated. The majority of them were already getting ready to turn around. The slower players received messages from their friends saying, "Don't bother with that piece of trash. Hurry up and chase after Lord Grimm. Don't let him escape." Trash. Huang Shaoshan heard this phrase and became furious. Moreover, it seemed to be directed at him. As a pro player, he had some resistance towards trash talk. However, each player had their own ways of dealing with it. Some ignored it, some countered it. As one of the experts in the alliance at trash talking who made the alliance change the rules solely for him, Huang Shaoshan was the latter. F***ck, a roar resounded throughout the forest. Whoever said, "Trash, stand where you are. Let me teach you how to spell trash." Huang Shaoshan's flowing tree unexpectedly turned around and chased after them. Who said it? Who? Where are you running? A bunch of level 33 players and you're afraid of a tiny level 27 Blade Master? If I'm trash, then what are you? Maybe you're non-recyclable trash? Completely worthless trash? That's right. I'm talking about you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pieces of trash running nice and orderly. Are you all lining up waiting to be put in the dumpster? But wait, did you forget that you were non-recyclable? Have some awareness. You should just dig a hole to bury yourself in there. Stop polluting the environment. Every second you exist. Quote. Shut up, someone finally erupted, a Blade Master as well. But he wasn't the only one that wanted to jump out, he just happened to be a bit faster. His "shut up" temporarily interrupted Huang Shaoshan. In this moment of silence, the others who had become riled up took the chance to clear up their anger as well. So it was you? Good. A Blade Master as well. But it does seem like you're different than normal Blade Masters. Seeing how impatient you are, could you be the legendary? Using his voice for the following words wouldn't bring about the desired reactions, so Huang Shaoshan quickly changed to typing. A giant word bubble floated above his head and used the largest 25 size font to write Trash Master. Trash Master. Trash Master. Trash Master. Trash Master. ... Huang Shaoshan's hands moved like a blur. In that instant, huge word bubbles piled on top of each other towards the clouds. That level 33 Blade Master had already gone mad with fury and rushed forward with his sword drawn. For an expert trash talker like Huang Shaoshan, he didn't need any thinking or feeling to do such a thing. He could even do it even if he was talking to a rock. He didn't actually have any malicious intent. It was just something he was used to doing during matches. It was just that in official matches, he could only type in chat box. However, in the game, he could use word bubbles and his own voice to make his trash talk more impactful. How could ordinary players stand such attacks? In gaming terms, Huang Shaoshan's trash talk wasn't done through a major summon, but rather through a never-ending combo. It made others want to kill him simply because they wanted him to shut up. Because his verbal attacks had only been directed at one individual, the others felt much better about themselves. After seeing that Blade Master rush forward, they quickly came back to reality. "We'll leave this guy to you. We're going to continue chasing Lord Grimm." Someone yelled this and then ran. There really weren't many who took this level 27 player seriously. The Blade Master didn't even respond. His attention was clearly, completely focused on Flowing Tree. He raised his sword and initiated with a berserker's collapsing mountain, showing his intent on chopping Flowing Tree into pieces. Huang Shaoshan continued cursing and appeared very irritated. However, in reality, he was very calm. He didn't even need to dodge this collapsing mountain because the other side was clearly too agitated. The attack had been made too early and wouldn't hit Flowing Tree. All in all, this Blade Master was still an elite. Halfway through the animation, he realized that he had messed up. He had used the skill too early and would miss Flowing Tree. He knew that Flowing Tree seemed to understand this, but why was he just standing there doing nothing? Collapsing mountain crashed to the ground and the shock wave sent the surrounding grass flying. It had scraped Flowing Tree's foot, but there was still no movement from him. This attack didn't inflict any damage onto him. Sword draw, Huang Shaoshan shouted and then used a sword draw. The Blade Master, who was still in recovery from the collapsing mountain, was hit and went flying. If this wasn't in-game, that Blade Master's head would have been chopped in half like a watermelon. Triple slash, Huang Shaoshan was like a character from a comic, shouting the name of the skill before using it. Flowing Tree slid forward and the first slash hit the flying Blade Master. For the second slash, Flowing Tree suddenly shifted directions and slid diagonally. The second slash hit the Blade Master again. The third slash was the same, and the opposing Blade Master, who was about to hit the ground, was lifted into the sky once again. Huang Shaoshan was able to make two directional changes in what was supposed to be a straight-line triple slash. Perhaps many players could do this, but to do so in the minimum 3 steps while launching the target into the sky, that was rarely seen. Watch my sword. Watch my sword. Lunge. Falling light blade. Upward slash. Sword draw. Triple slash. Huang Shaoshan continued to shout out moves. Watch my sword indicated a normal attack. From the sky to the ground and up to the sky again. Under Huang Shaoshan's continuous attacks, this Blade Master had no way of resisting. Every time the other side saw a way of getting out, it was already too late. He tapped his keyboard furiously, but every move he made was within the other side's calculations. He was interrupted again and again. Huang Shaoshan's skill shouts caught the attention of the players who went to chase after Lord Grimm. Some turned around to glance back and their gaze never moved away afterwards. It was something they shouldn't be saying, but it was true. Their ally had been destroyed. Only the word beautiful could describe the scene. Flowing Tree only had an ordinary blue lightsaber in his hands, but the light that came from it could only be described as extraordinary. Every time the blue light flashed, it would circle back and flash again. The sword's light connected together as blood continuously splattered from that level 33 Blade Master's body, making the scene appear more beautiful and cruel at the same time. The number of players who stopped to watch, who turned around, and who were dumbstruck grew larger and larger. They watched and completely forgot about helping their ally. These types of beautiful attacks could only be seen in videos. Real battle. Forget about real battles. Even if the opponent was just a wooden log, no one was confident they'd be able to perform such flowing attacks. This person's incredible. Finally, someone couldn't resist blurting this out. As soon as this was said, everyone returned to reality. Their ally was about to die under their watch. Everyone, up, someone yelled and everyone moved. Even though they weren't very unified, they couldn't just watch as one of their allies died beneath their eyes. If they didn't help when they could have, it'd be a bit embarrassing. Clerics, where are you? Heal him, someone shouted. However, there wasn't a single cleric among the 14 players there. Ta 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 ta. Gunfire rang out. A launcher fired a Gatling gun and bullets flew towards Flowing Tree in a straight line. A sword light flashed. Flowing Tree used triple slash again. The launcher shook his gun and fired towards where he thought Flowing Tree would move to. How could he know that after the first slash, he would change directions and then change again for the third one to go back to his original position? But he had already fired and his bullets hit nothing but air. Triangle triple slash. Witnessing this triple slash, a few players blurted out the name of this move in astonishment. Triangle triple slash. The move wasn't too difficult to do. However, different players would have different effects using this skill. Huang Shaoshan's usage of this skill had no faults. That gorgeous sword technique along with this triple slash plus his non-stop mouth, everyone understood, the Blade Master in front of them was a great expert. A level 27 looking down on them. That demeanor seemed like that of a god. And at this moment, that Blade Master was no longer able to continue under Flowing Tree's sword. They weren't able to support him in time. The Blade Master's body was hit flying at them, and when it reached them, all that was left was a corpse. The trash's end. Huang Shaoshan shouted out the final move name. Chapter 202, Experiencing it personally. Incredible, but he's only level 27. There's no need for us to waste our time on him, someone said. This was true. The reason they were chasing after Lord Grimm's team so they could kill them was to force them to waste time to recover their lost experience and put them into a red-lettered state. In Glory, red-lettered equipment meant that the durability was about to reach 0 and needed to be fixed. Being in a red-lettered state was similar to this. After a player's experience dropped below a certain level, the player would need to regain the experience in order to recover his stats. Although red-lettered characters would not be at a lower level, they would not have the same stats as before. The amount of stats lost depended on how much experience had to be recovered. At the same time, they would also need experience to gain back their skill levels. The guilds were carrying this type of intent. However, towards Flowing Tree, there was no need to waste their time on him. Flowing Tree was only level 27. No matter how skilled he was, there was no way he could enter the level 30 Lime Canyon. He was never a threat to them. Everyone there, whether it was because they still had reason or because they wanted to run away, all realized this. Silently, as if nothing had ever happened, each and every one of them slipped away. Flowing Tree didn't go and chase them. He slowly moved back behind a tree and sat down. No matter how great he was, he had no fighting strength without mana. With only a level 25 blue lightsaber, his damage output could only be average at best. In addition, he was 6 levels below his opponent. Even though the level suppression in PvP wasn't as significant as the level suppression in PvE, the damage reduction was still considerable. Huang Shaoshan had used a good 90% of his mana to kill his opponent. Flowing Tree's bag was also empty. If the other side had decided to surround and attack him, his only choice would have been to run. Fortunately, the other side decided to leave. Huang Shaoshan didn't have any objections to this. From this, it could be seen that Huang Shaoshan's trash talk was something he did consciously. In a situation where he had no fighting strength, he stopped talking. Without any food or potions, just sitting there only had a slow recovery effect. Recovering in this way, he'd need around 10 minutes. Where'd those guys go? Huang Shaoshan thought. Flowing Tree looked around and saw legs sticking out from a tree nearby. Huang Shaoshan immediately made Flowing Tree roll backwards. Right as he was about to use sword draw, a voice came out from behind the tree. It looks like we should party up. Yishu's voice. Huang Shaoshan let out a sigh. Did you throw them off? Huang Shaoshan asked. Nope, they'll be here very soon. I have no mana, Huang Shaoshan said. Lord Grimm rummaged through his pockets and threw some food and potions onto the ground. How weak. Carrying so many items, Huang Shaoshan picked them up while mocking Yishu. This is called being prepared. Yishu obviously understood what Huang Shaoshan meant. The less weight a character carried, the better. The more skilled you were, the more weight would affect you. After picking up all the items, Huang Shaoshan immediately made Flowing Tree drink a potion to recover his mana. They're here. I'll be heading off then, Yishu said. Protect me for a sec, Huang Shaoshan said. Protect you? Are people bothering you? Yishu said as Lord Grimm ran off. Voices saying, over there, came out from the forest. Characters poured out from the trees. Some of the players glanced at Flowing Tree, but completely ignored him and continued to chase after Lord Grimm. Get me a sword from one of them. This blue lightsaber is too disgusting, Huang Shaoshan sent Yishu a message. Do you have any common sense? These people are all level 30. Do you think you can use the equipment they drop? Yishu replied. TCH, so annoying, Huang Shaoshan concealed his low-leveled mistake. The players madly chased. Swift run, changing directions, their hands were about to cramp up from making so many movements. On the other hand, the two gods were chatting. Flowing Tree drank his potion as he watched his mana recover. Huang Shaoshan ignored those players who ignored him. Suddenly, a blade master caught his eye. He was moving his camera around like crazy and was trying to find where Lord Grimm was. He stood there dumbly for a short moment. He seemed to have sent a message to ask for Lord Grimm's whereabouts and then rushed over in that direction. This blade master was using a broadsword. The broadsword had high physical attack, and even though it had slow attack speed, quite a few blade masters liked to use it. As one of the top blade master experts, Huang Shaoshan could obviously use all the different types of swords. Seeing this player's broadsword, he immediately ran over. Hey, Blade Master. Wait a sec. The Blade Master ignored him and continued to run. Hey, I'm telling you to wait. You have no manners. Even if you don't have voice on, I won't forgive you. How can you not have voice chat on if you're playing Glory? Can you? Huang Shaoshan shouted while waving his sword. That Blade Master seemed to have decided to ignore him and continue to run without even turning his head. Isn't that broadsword the strike sword? A level 25 orange weapon, not bad. But with that, you'll be carrying more weight than me. And let me tell you this, besides a few potions, I don't have anything else on me. Nothing else. Do you know what this means? This means that even if you stripped yourself, I'd still be able to catch up to you. There's no point in running. Look, I've only said a few words and the distance between us has already pulled closer by quite a bit. So what's the point in running? Stop and chat with me, bro. Do you want to switch weapons? It's a level 30 lightsaber, blue grade. Attack speed of 10. If you use it, you'll love it. I can guarantee that you'll like it more than your broadsword. F***CKU. You're only level 27. What level 30 lightsaber? That Blade Master couldn't resist lashing back. Good. Your observational skills have moved me to tears. You even know that I'm level 27? Then why are you running? Come here and fight me. Bro, I've got no time. The Blade Master didn't stop. You can only blame yourself. Triple slash. Huang Shaoshan shouted out the name of the skill and a triple slash came out. As a movement skill, he quickly caught up to him. The Blade Master hastily used a triple slash as well to hurry forward. Ha 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 ha. Too slow. Huang Shaoshan laughed out loud. The third slash of his triple slash hit the back of the Blade Master. You're too careless, bro. With that weight you're carrying and that type of attack speed, do you think you'd be able to escape my triple slash? No use. Now you know how great I am. Huang Shaoshan continued to move his mouth as he chased. This Blade Master had an orange weapon, meaning that he must be an important member of the guild and would be more skilled than the Blade Master that Huang Shaoshan had defeated easily. But he was still just a normal player. It was still as if an ant was fighting against an elephant. Even though the Blade Master's skill wasn't bad, there was no way he could compete with Huang Shaoshan. In addition, he suffered from a back attack at the very start. At this moment, he wasn't even able to turn his camera around in time, when he began getting comboed. Seeing how none of his allies were nearby, the Blade Master was afraid that he might die there. Even worse, he didn't even have time to curse before he died. His enemy was hacking at him while chatting non-stop, annoying as hell. These people wouldn't necessarily think of Huang Shaoshan when they saw this type of chattering Blade Master. Normal players only recognized Huang Shaoshan from match recordings and was their idol, especially for Blade Masters. From a spectator's view, they would think that Huang Shaoshan's trash talk was beautiful, especially when his opponent would mess up in rage. Fans would all laugh. And now, personally experiencing such an attack, the only feeling in their hearts besides annoyance was annoyance. This type of feeling was completely different from what they felt when they watched Huang Shaoshan do it. Under these two attacks, the Blade Master was quickly unable to hang on. Sword light twisted across his body and his health continued to drop. But at this moment, he was already no longer in the mood to care about all this. Why am I not dead yet? These were his thoughts. His wish seemed to have come true. When his health hit rock bottom, the other side's attacks stopped. The Blade Master heaved a sigh of relief. The torture was finally over. The screen turned gray and the camera zoomed out, no longer in a first-person point of view. And like a ghost that had floated out of its body, he watched as his corpse fell from the air. F***CK. The Blade Master suddenly cursed. Unfortunately, when his character died, voice would no longer be transmitted out. He watched as the broadsword in his hands also fell. Wow, what good luck. I just kill some random guy and he drops an orange weapon? The game really is different after not playing for so long. It wasn't easy saving up so much luck. Huang Shaoshan was still chattering. Let me borrow this. I'll give it back when I'm done. Huang Shaoshan picked up the level 25 orange strike sword and a word bubble popped out from his head. He knew that even though the other side couldn't hear him, he could still see the word bubble. His corpse was still there, so he hadn't yet revived back to the city. Chapter 203. Finally, some strategy. Even though there wasn't a precise probability for a dead player to drop items, in the normal servers, the probability wasn't high. For a weapon to drop when Huang Shaoshan wanted one to indicated his incredibly good luck. It probably wasn't any lower than an orange weapon dropping from a boss. The Blade Master saw Huang Shaoshan's word bubble, but who would believe that? To him, it seemed as if he was being mocked. When he revived, he told his guild buddies about this nightmare. As for getting the weapon back, by killing him? With such a low probability of a weapon dropping, no one had much hope. The players, who were now chasing after Lord Grimm, originally didn't pay too much attention to Flowing Tree, but this guy was too excessive. Not only did he take the initiative to offend them and kill 2 players, but an orange weapon had even been dropped. Although a portion of those players were happy about this news, they couldn't ignore what this player had done. It dropped. It dropped. It dropped. Huang Shaoshan was shouting at Yishu. What dropped? Yishu asked. The level 25 orange strike sword. Are you jealous of my luck? Huang Shaoshan was quite happy. Not bad. Keep it up, Yishu said. Your position? Huang Shaoshan asked for his coordinates. 1645, 1866, Yishu reported his coordinates. How many have you killed? Huang Shaoshan asked. 2. Me too. Let's compete to see who wins, Huang Shaoshan messaged. You lose, Yishu said. Why? Huang Shaoshan refused to believe him. You don't have enough potions, Yishu firmly replied. Huang Shaoshan was speechless. It wasn't easy for him to become speechless. It was true though. His Flowing Tree only had a bit of food and potions left that were given to him by Yishu. If they were to compete in this type of PK game, he would definitely lose. We'll kill until I have no more potions. Huang Shaoshan still wanted to continue. He sent the message as he rushed towards the coordinates that Yishu had sent him. 2 top-tier gods in the pro scene. 2 players standing at the top in glory. At this very moment, they were hunting down a group of normal players. Will numbers prevail? Or will the strong come out on top? These questions described the current situation. The difference between pro gods and normal players was monumental, especially in PK. Compared to running dungeons, the difference was much greater. From mechanics to experience to mental fortitude to usage of terrain. Kanji Forest. For Yishu to have everyone meet up here, as well as bringing all the pursuers, Yishu naturally had everything planned out. It could be said that Yishu had confidence that they would be able to beat these unorganized players using the forest's terrain. Huang Shaoshan's appearance only helped him save some time. 1, 2, 3. Players fell one after another. In the beginning, everyone thought that it was because they were being careless and that such a thing definitely wouldn't happen to them. However, only until a total of 10 players died did their views finally change. It was too unlikely for so many to be careless. They searched around Kanji Forest for another 10 minutes. Lord Grimm would appear and disappear at times, leading them around the forest. In addition, there was also that level 27 Blade Master, Flowing Tree. He would also run out from time to time. With a chatterbox in their vicinity, Kanji Forest was abnormally loud. The pursuers finally realized that the situation wasn't looking good. The guild leader decided to take back his previous order of spread out and look around. Report anything you find. Under that order, 2 of Samsara's guild members had already died. The other guilds also made similar decisions. Now, everyone gathered together and temporarily stopped chasing. I feel like they're not trying to escape from us, but rather trying to kill us. Someone in the crowd finally broke the silence. No one answered him. A bit of fear lingered in everyone's hearts. Of course they knew which of their allies had died. Every time one was ambushed, they all wanted to try and save them, but it was no use. By the time they rushed over, all that was left at those coordinates was a corpse. The other side also left tracks, but looking back, it was probably intentional. Whether it was Lord Grimm or Flowing Tree, they weren't running around with the intent of escaping from them, they rather to mess up their formations and hunt down stragglers. Formation? Was that even a thing? They didn't even know themselves. All they were doing was chasing after whatever tracks the opposite side had left behind. Under this type of situation, was the other side able to understand their patterns? Everyone, Lonely Drink acted as the leader. The current situation is a bit dangerous. Everyone was silent. We originally had 32 players, but now, we only have 22. We can't keep continuing on like this. We need to change our strategy. Our disorganized actions gave our enemies a chance. I believe that we urgently need to move as an orderly group from now on. Lonely Drink hadn't lost his reason yet. He calmly analyzed the situation and their opponent's strength. His tone was also humble and appropriate. You're right, someone stood out to support him. Next, each of our guilds will form small teams. We'll then move about in these small teams, how about it? I suggest that each team should have at least 4 players, Lonely Drink said. Lonely Drink had come to this decision after contacting others. Right now, they had members from 5 different guilds, with 4 or 5 players from each guild remaining. Each team will keep in contact with each other and be ready to report their positions at any time. Sound good, Lonely Drink said. If they continue to chase in an unorganized fashion, what would happen? Their original 32 players hadn't formed teams, and because of that, they had suffered numerous casualties. Under such pressure, each of the guilds put down their rivalries with each other and upheld a cooperative spirit. Following Lonely Drink's proposal, they created a group. Each team entered the group where they could communicate in. A part of Lonely Drink's clever strategy was that there wasn't any one leader everyone had to follow. He only acted as a player with an idea, letting the other guilds accept it more easily. After forming the groups, Lonely Drink continued, let's all head in the same direction. If we can force them out of this forest, then that would be very good for us. The forest's cover is the main reason they're able to appear and vanish. The players split into 5 teams and fanned out. They headed towards the last known location of Lord Grimm and Flowing Tree. They've switched their strategy. Huang Shaoshan's Flowing Tree was hiding nearby and saw through their pursuers' new strategy. More like they actually have a strategy now, Yi Shu corrected Huang Shaoshan. His Lord Grimm was obviously nearby as well. There's at least 4 players per team. Each team isn't too far from each other either. The region they control is very large. If we keep on evading them like this, we'll be forced out of the forest, but 4 players, it looks like we're going to need to team up to attack, Huang Shaoshan said. Even if we team up, we might not be able to beat them before support arrives, Yi Shu said. Or maybe you should come take a look at this team, Huang Shaoshan said. What do you mean? Yi Shu asked. 3 cloth, 1 leather. They're placed on the edge. Only one team can support them in time, Huang Shaoshan said. Cloth armor had the weakest physical defense. Leather was the second weakest. We probably won't be able to completely wipe them out, but 2 or 3 shouldn't be a problem, Huang Shaoshan said. Then what are we waiting for? Position. Huang Shaoshan sent him the coordinates and Yi Shu's Lord Grimm immediately headed there. The 2 characters had previously been doing their own thing, but now they were about to work together. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded, Huang Shaoshan said after meeting up with Yi Shu. To be able to make yourself go lightheaded from speaking so much, you really are a genius, Yi Shu said. More like the alliance prohibits players from using voice chat. If I had to keep talking during the match, that wouldn't be healthy, Huang Shaoshan cried. No one would be as talkative as you, Yi Shu said. I've decided that I'm going to use word bubbles in a bit, Huang Shaoshan said. Don't block my sight, Yi Shu said. They're here. Let's go from the right. Go. Chapter 204, Bullying Cloth. Summoner, Elementalist, Ghostblade, Assassin. 3 cloth armored classes and 1 leather armored class. Right now, they were positioned on the leftmost side of the formation and were maintaining contact with the other 4 small teams using the group channel, while carefully looking around. These 4 players were from tyrannical ambition. They didn't have any high-positioned officers among them, but were all veterans from the heavenly domain. After coming to the new server together, their relationships had grown closer and they were already almost inseparable friends. This was why they had even participated in this type of activity together. Speaking of them, they had a small relationship with Lord Grimm. They had once fought together shoulder to shoulder for the Goblin Merchant first kill, but right now, their guild was in a difficult situation because of Lord Grimm. The guild leader had decided to take a hostile stance and they could only follow along with the decision. However, they had personally witnessed Lord Grimm's skill before, so they didn't dare act careless, especially after 2 of their guild buddies had been swiftly eliminated. One was killed by Lord Grimm while the other by Flowing Tree, but in both cases, their reports were the same, they weren't able to fight back. They had witnessed Lord Grimm's skill level before, but for an unknown level 27 Blade Master to have been so dominating, where did this holy saint come from? Why did Lord Grimm always have experts cropping up here and there? Every one of the members in his party, Soft Mist, Steamed Bun Invasion, Cleansing Mist, Flowing Tree, and even the newest name, 1-Inch Ash, the records they set were already proof that they were strong. But, to be able to completely dominate someone 6 levels higher, strong, wasn't enough to describe him. And that brother, who had been killed by Flowing Tree, emphasized angrily about that Blade Master's endlessly moving mouth and stressed the anguish Flowing Tree's trash talk gave him. The person on the scene is baffled, the onlookers see clear. Hearing this description, the experienced Glory players all thought of one person. Huang Shaoshan. Of course, they thought of Huang Shaoshan. The Blade Master in Glory, who was most famous for his non-stop talking, would definitely be him. Even though they thought of him, there was no way they believed that it was actually him. A god like him would enter the game and play cat and mouse in the forest with them? No one would believe that. This person is definitely a fan of the Sword Saint, the Ghostblade reckoned. Yeah, the others agreed. The god obviously had a lot of fans. Fans would mimic their idols. It was a case in every game. I once knew a person like this. He would always shout randomly when peeking, making your head go dizzy, the assassin said. Ha ha, how does that count as anything? I've even seen players that talk to monsters, the elementalist laughed. But this guy really is strong. We should be cautious, the summoner said. Of course. The other 3 replied. The players continued to carefully tread through the forest. A word bubble suddenly popped out from the forest. Over there, the assassin yelled as he headed in that direction. The other 3 players looked as well, but didn't see anything, so they didn't dare act too careless. The summoner waved his magic staff and prepared to summon a pet. The summoned pets only lasted for a certain amount of time and each summon required quite a bit of mana. Because of this, summoners usually summoned at the beginning of battle or before the battle began. Bang! A gun sound and a flash of light. A bullet flew out and the summoner's cast was interrupted. Triple slash. Upward slash. Watch my sword. Sword draw. Lunge. ... They hadn't even found their opponent yet, when a chain of word bubbles floated up. While they were surprised, Flowing Tree rushed out using a triple slash with the word bubbles above his head. He slashed the summoner and interrupted the summoner's casting again. He's here! They cried out in fear. The summoner did his utmost to try and escape, while the other 3 players rushed forward together. Magic and swords exploded towards Flowing Tree. At this moment, a blur went by the 3 players' eyes and a figure appeared before them. The figure swung his arm and with a whoosh, a giant umbrella opened up in front of them, blocking their attacks. The elementalist's burst wasn't large enough, but the assassin's shining cut and the Ghostblade's ghost-slash attacks weren't light, so Lord Grimm was pushed back. F***CK. You crashed into me. Lord Grimm was pushed back into Flowing Tree. Huang Shaoshan immediately responded. The collision had affected his fighting. My shield's weight is low, Yishu said. Oh, how light? Huang Shaoshan asked. So noisy. Concentrate, Yishu said. Word bubbles continue to spout out. In order to maintain relevant even without a pet, many summoners spend a few skill points on level 20 and under mage skills, especially battle mage ones. The summoner was like this, but, at this moment, he felt that using his skill points like this was a bit of a waste. The skills he learned were completely useless. No matter which one he used, the outcome was still the same. His attacks and magic were all interrupted. Seeing those word bubbles say the name of the skill, it was as if the system was telling him which attacks he was going to be hit by. All he could do was watch, unable to find a way out. His three friends were in a deadlock with Lord Grimm and had no way of helping him. From what he saw, if they didn't get any help, his three friends might not even be able to last themselves. Their two opponents suddenly teamed up. Weren't they doing their own thing before? He finally had time to think about this issue. Under the constant attacks, the summoner quickly fell to Flowing Tree's blade. The reason Yi Shu and Huang Shaoshan chose to go after the cloth-armored ones first was because they would die quicker. Their first target, the summoner, wasn't chosen at random. A summoner without a summon was just looking to be bullied, but once a few summons came out, he would be a difficult class to deal with and could survive for a very long time. And in the end, the summoner wasn't able to show off his strength before he turned into a corpse. You should have been the one to kill him. Your level is higher and you do more damage, so it would have been quicker. Huang Shaoshan immediately went to help Yi Shu after killing the summoner. Having him stay quiet was obviously impossible. What did you say? Yi Shu said while stabbing the elementalist with a dragon tooth, and that elementalist never stood up again. F***ck, Huang Shaoshan cursed. He was 4 levels higher with a silver weapon too. His damage was much greater than his low-leveled blade master. In the time it took him to kill one, the other side was fighting 3 while killing 1 too. Stop that one. It was now 2v2. Yi Shu put the assassin into his sights and gave the ghost blade to Huang Shaoshan. Watch my sword. Word bubbles began to roll out again. Not just his opponent, the ghost blade, but even the assassin were starting to feel irritated. After looking at the scene carefully, in reality, the blade master's attacks weren't as quick as the word bubbles. It was because he was using a broadsword and his attack speed wasn't enough. Even so, his skill name shouting never stopped. Could he be typing blindly? The assassin was never Yi Shu's opponent. He was even distracted by Huang Shaoshan's trash talk. His loss was inevitable and he was quickly defeated. That ghost blade was the same. Under Huang Shaoshan's attacks, he was unable to hang on and backup hadn't yet arrived. Their ambush had gone even more smoothly than they had anticipated. They originally thought that they would kill off 2 or 3 and then be forced to retreat, but right now, they had killed them all. Watch my sword. Watch my sword. Watch my sword. Huang Shaoshan continued to shout using only normal attacks. Yi Shu knew that this guy had no more mana and helped him kill off the ghost blade. He also threw him some potions and food to use. Let's run, Huang Shaoshan said, while Flowing Tree picked up the items. There's still no one here. That's strange, Yi Shu said. Huang Shaoshan thought for a bit and agreed. After killing off 2 of them, the closest team should have arrived. Did they go somewhere else? Yi Shu looked around. Maybe they ignored these 4 players and used the time to surround us, Huang Shaoshan said. This position, Yi Shu looked at the coordinates, it's a trap. Chapter 205, You've been surrounded. 1 died. Another one. So quick. What's going on? Why haven't the other teams arrived yet? In the group chat, the players saw system notifications that said 2 of their players had died. After the 4 tyrannical ambition players met with the enemies, they immediately reported it. The other players hastily headed over there to surround them, but midway, they received 2 notifications that 2 had already died. The players ran crazily, while grumbling in the chat. Stay in formation. This time, we definitely won't let them escape. Blossom Valley, attack from the 8 o'clock direction. Excellent Dynasty, go from the 4 o'clock direction. Void Walk, 12 o'clock. We'll surround them and then close in. Tyrannical Ambition, stand firm. We'll be there soon. Lonely Drinks messages popped up in the group chat. Each of the teams knew they had to cooperate, so they didn't have too many objections towards Lonely Drinks commands. Sure enough, the three guilds rushed out towards the directions Lonely Drink had suggested. Lonely Drink's Samsara was on Tyrannical Ambition's right side and should have been the first to arrive at the scene, but their team stopped in the forest and had no intention of moving. Let them be killed. If we don't give them more time to play around, then our encirclement won't be completed in time. Lonely Drink gave his guild's brothers an explanation, while exposing a sly grin. Ha ha ha, the players laughed as well. If they went to rescue them at this moment, Yishu and Huang Shaoshan would immediately run away and continue to hide in the forest. The teams that were heading towards their position were at different distances from each other, so it wasn't possible for them to complete the encirclement in such a short amount of time. As a result, Lonely Drink held back his troops. With no one disturbing them, Lord Grim and Flowing Tree wiped out those 4 Tyrannical Ambition players. In the end, this sacrifice gave them time to complete the encirclement and completely blocked off the entire area. Lonely Drink had intentionally suggested such a formation with the intent of using those 4 low-defense Tyrannical Ambition players as bait. 4 players in each team? That amount of players wouldn't be enough to defeat 2 great experts. Lonely Drink believed that the other side would definitely find this flaw. Reality didn't let him down. In Kanji Forest's southwest area, Tyrannical Ambition's group was ambushed by 2 players. The other players were preparing to perform a pincer attack. This was all according to plan. The goal was to defeat them with superior numbers. Another one died. After Tyrannical Ambition's 3rd player fell, players began panicking. What position are you guys at? Lonely Drink seemed to be the most alarmed. Of course, he was worried. Except he wasn't worried about whether Tyrannical Ambition's players would live or die. He was only worried that the other teams wouldn't arrive at their positions in time. If that happened, then their sacrifice would have been for nothing. The 3 teams reported their positions, but Lonely Drink wasn't sure how long the last Tyrannical Ambition member would last. Everything depended on luck. After getting into position, immediately head towards the targets. Lonely Drink sent the message and finally had his Samsara's 5 players move out. While dashing over, Lonely Drink watched the final member of Tyrannical Ambition closely. Finally, after a system notification, the final member fell. F***CK. What's going on, Samsara? Samsara's too slow. The other 3 teams were naturally complaining. They made an alliance with the agreement that they would save each other if something were to happen, but Tyrannical Ambition's team was wiped out without any sign of Samsara's players. This conflicted with their expectations. How could they know that Lonely Drink had done so intentionally? Calm down. The other side is extremely strong. Going out one by one is just asking for death. Are you all in position yet? Everyone, forward. Lonely Drink wouldn't waste his time explaining every detail. He believed that the other guilds wouldn't be too distressed over Tyrannical Ambition's small team. In the end, everyone was only worried whether those 2 would escape again. But this time, with their arrangement, 18v2, Lonely Drink was confident they would win. Charge. Some typed it out in the group chat, some directly shouted it out. The 4 teams closed in. Force them out of the forest, Lonely Drink yelled. There wasn't enough time to completely surround their targets, but their current position was close to the edge of Kanji Forest, which would force their 2 targets out of the forest. There would be no place to hide out of the forest and it'd be difficult for them to escape again. Lonely Drink was extremely satisfied with their positions and felt that he had created a rare masterpiece. I see them. Where? In their original position. They seem to be resting. Don't rush. Wait for us. Lonely Drink sent the message and saw their targets. One was standing up with his lance, while the other was sitting on the ground, drinking potions, recovering mana. Are you all there? Are you all there? Lonely Drink was anxious. Here. Here. Quote. Hurry, hurry, hurry. One team hadn't arrived yet. Lonely Drink urged them. Here. Up, Lonely Drink shouted. Bringing with him his anger towards Lord Grim, he bravely charged forward. At the same time, he also saw movements from several directions. Their players had already completely surrounded the area. This time, there was no escape. Lord Grim, Lonely Drink shouted and dashed in front of the 2 targets. Bang! A huge noise erupted. The sound of an explosion came from the southwest direction. Lonely Drink looked towards there in surprise. All he saw was the smoke from the explosion. What's going on? Why did someone attack from over there? Which idiot used a skill? You've been surrounded. There's no escape, Yishu said. Lonely Drink was completely dumbfounded. Wasn't that what he was going to say? Why did it just come out from Lord Grimm's mouth? What? Lonely Drink was only able to say one word, when the Blade Master, Flowing Tree, suddenly jumped out. A string of word bubbles flew above his head and a sword leapt at him. Lonely Drink had heard of this Blade Master's strength. He had no intention of fighting him one-on-one and surrounded him with his 4 brothers. What did Lord Grimm mean by that? Lonely Drink fought, while wanting to ask in the group chat, but there was no time to. In front of a god, he didn't have the ability to fight while asking. Players poured out from all around the forest. The more Lonely Drink watched, the more confident he became. Weren't these all his players? Weren't they the ones surrounding them? With this confidence, Lonely Drink's fighting became braver. Not bad. You're the strongest one I've met so far today, Huang Shaoshan gave him a compliment. But it's no use. I think it'd be best for you to give up. You seem to be the leader. If this continues on, then things will turn ugly. Are you willing to lose face in front of your bros? Huang Shaoshan's word bubbles poured out as always. His attacks never stopped either, as well as his mouth. Move to the side a bit, Yishu yelled. What do you want? Your word bubbles are blocking my view, Yishu cursed. What do you know? We're here. Another gun sound erupted from behind them. Cleansing Mist jumped out from the smoke with her heavy cannon. A female character with a heavy weapon burst out, brining a strong visual impact. Behind her was Chao Yifan's 1-inch Ash, who was carefully treading forward. A purple aura emanated from him and a ghost slash was sent flying towards the player closest to him. We're here. Who are these guys? Your friends. Oops, from a different direction, Steamed Bun Invasion came out with his hand clutching another player's throat. Behind him was a summoner, who tripped. A bunch of pets walked around randomly behind the summoner. They were clearly not being well controlled. Bang! It sounded like a gunshot, but experienced players knew that it was the sound of a battle mage using Falling Flower Palm. Judging from how loud the sound was, 3 or more targets had been hit. Sure enough, 3 players flew out from the forest, although they did complete a quick recover to land well. Tangru's Soft Mist carried her battle lance with chasers surrounding her. Without a word, she chased them out and headed towards the closest players. She had died quite a few times today.